Hello folks, Jerry and welcome back to a top 10 list, and this video isn't actually going to, dive into the top 10 yet, so go figure. Anyways, last year I made a video of my top 10 favorite cars in the game, and that video was actually really well received, so I have decided to make, I guess, an updated version of it. And this time around, I'm also going to talk about cards which didn't make it onto the list, but were close. So this is pretty much going to be my honorable mentions list for the cars I really like, but weren't quite good enough to make it onto the top 10. Keep in mind that, this is purely my opinion. I am not the best racer out there for sure, but I do have a decent amount of knowledge about, the cards in the game, so I would really suggest you guys to, give these cards a go, because I like them, and odds are that you might as well. But obviously, there will be some cards that you might really like but will not make it onto this list for one reason or another. Maybe I just didn't actually have time to get to it, but whatever, let's go. Now, the car that was already on the list but got cut right at the end was the Nissan Skyline R33. Now, this car actually got really underappreciated when it initially came out. It was a turf car, and there were two generations. One was with a body kit and one was without. So the first generation, the one without the body kit, is what you're seeing on your screen right now, and is now becoming one of the most sought after turf wraps in the game. Now, of course, you also have cheaper versions of this car, because there was a buyback version of the second generation as well as the crate version, which really makes this car not very expensive. So at the end of the day, it's still relatively affordable, and that's the greatest thing about this car, because it's actually super usable for C-Class. Now, usually when people think about fast C-Class cars, they're going to think of either the Subi Coupe or the Nissan 300ZX, and honestly, as well as the Pontiac Firebird, which is a pain in the ass to drive. This is really up there, the Skyline, obviously. Now, it can actually, outpace some of the B-Class cars. The world record is a mid 8.9. And considering how many of these are on the market, it's actually becoming a viable option, to actually pink slip some versus some other cars. And honestly, I really do like it. Now, the Mitsubishi Evo 8RE. This is a car which we all have been wanting for a long time, and up to date, it's still one of the most desired turf cars in the game. Now, when this car initially came out, I was really hyped for it, but honestly, I probably set my expectations a bit too high, because the car is only R-Class and it's not usable at all. I mean, it is nice to drive, but a part of me really does wish that, this car would be an R2-class car, like, let's say, the Honda Civic RE. Instead, as I said, it's not very fast, but it is nice to drive, and honestly, this car is not going to, really be competitive in any way, but it will, give you the attention, because up to date, it's still one of the most expensive cars in the game just because it looks so nice. And honestly, I'm still really happy that we got it. So, it's on this list. So when actually finishing up the short list, I figured out that I didn't actually have any of the iconic S-Class turf cars on here. So that would be, the Subi Sport, the Copa Camaro, the Cobra Jet, even though, those two can't actually be considered turfs anymore just because their prices are so low. But the car which will make an honorable mention is the NSX RR. Honestly, one of the best S-Class cars, and the reason for that is because it is so consistent now. This car can be, around as fast as the Copa Camaro, because it can hit 7.6s when being go shifted. Now, I am not good at racing them, period, but I'm also suck at go shifting, so obviously I will not be very good with it, but it's still really nice. And honestly, in the past year or so, cars have started to actually steal the spotlight from it, but it will always be a good S-Class option. So next up, we have a really weird car. Now, this is the Hot Wheels Rip Route, and it makes this list just because it's different. Now, honestly, this car not competitive at all. It looks bizarre, and that's pretty much the reason why it's on here. And also, it's surprisingly nice to drive. Now, it will get your attention. It's not really going to get you anywhere though, but it does drive similarly to a car which we will see, I guess, really high on the list. And, well, you might guess what that is. Next up, we have another Japanese car. So this is the Honda S2000 Travel Edition. This car was almost on the list as well, but unfortunately it didn't make it just because it's not really a viable option for racing. Now, people really thought that the Honda S2000 Race Edition was one of the best turf cars in the game, because it, was really good for lobby tuning. And then this car came around a year later, and honestly, in my opinion, it's better in every single way. Now, I don't really care about lobby tuning, so this car is faster than it in the max lobby. It's better looking, in my opinion, and honestly, it's not as expensive because it's not a turf car, but also it's a bit more rare because, the normal S2000 Race Editions were a clone, so the Honda S2000 Travelers Edition is a really good car, and honestly, like, the prices for these will stay consistent because people don't really care about it, but it is a really good car. Now, a car which should have already made last year's list is the Nissan Nismo GT3, and this car has been in the game since forever, and honestly, it's probably one of the cheapest R2 class cars on the market, but it can actually get the job done. You can hit 6.6s with it, and well, the races which I had with this car were garbage, but if you get consistent with this car, you can get a whole lot of other R2 class cars, and honestly, it's not the easiest car in the world to drive, but when you get used to it, you know, you can actually get shit done. Now, next up, we do have the Ferrari 550 Maranello, and I feel like this car was forgotten the moment it came out, and it's weird because this is the best S-Class car. Okay, not the best, but by far the fastest. So it's actually 1674, which is borderline almost R-Class, and it's fast. You can actually hit 7.4s on it, which is really fast for S-Class. No car can even touch that, so it's nice. The prices for it are really cheap, like you can get one for $5 or less, so it's a good deal. And finally, the Vorsteiner GTR S M4. Now, this car, when it initially came out, no one really cared about it because I think it was released during the time where some other features got added, but around a month later, I got curious and actually decided to check it out, and honestly, this car is surprisingly nice to drive. It actually really reminds me of the Ripper in the way it launches, and it's actually fast. Now, you can actually get carbon fiber and fiberglass parts for this car, which still does not make it very usable, so that's the reason why it actually misses the list. But it is a surprisingly good and underappreciated car, so that's why, you know, it did make this list. Kind of. So there you go, guys, those were my honorable mentions. Stay tuned for the actual list, which is going to come when I have time. These videos actually take a whole lot of time, you know, to actually write the script for and actually film them, so yeah, it's coming. Anyways, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!